A very Jai Hind and good noon, dear students. Welcome back to the online class, and we are already discussing the chapter on the face of it from our book Vistas. And in my previous videos, I have already told you that there are two main characters in the play: Derry, a teenager boy, and Mr. Lamb, a very calm and composed man who has seen so many hardships in the life, and still he is having a positive attitude towards life and people. Derry, on the other hand, he is very negative. He talks negative about the people. He always remain in anger. So dear students, we have covered till here before this in my last video. Now I am starting from here, so I want you all to pay attention now. Okay, so let me begin. Mr. Lamb is saying to Derry, actually just before it they were having a conversation in which Derry was telling Mr. Lamb that I'm not your friend, you do not know my name, you do not know from where I belongs to, and how can you say that I'm your friend? To that Mr. Lamb replied that I don't think that all these things are significant in a friendship. What I think is, like, I know you are here in my garden, we are talking, so we are friends. Now see, Mr. Lamb is saying, doesn't mean they are enemies either, does it? Derry: no, they are just nothing people, that's all. Mr. Lamb: people are never just nothing, never. Derry: there are some people I hate. Mr. Lamb: that would do you more harm than any bottle of acid. Acid only burns your face. Derry: only? Mr. Lamb: like a bomb only blew up my leg. There's worse things can happen. You can burn yourself away inside. Derry: after I had come home, one person said he would have been better off stopping in there. In the hospital, he would be better off with others like himself. She thinks blind people only ought to be with other blind people, and idiot boys with idiot boys. Mr. Lamb: and people with no legs altogether. Derry: that's right. Mr. Lamb: what kind of a world would that be? Derry: at least there would be nobody to stare at you because you weren't like them. Mr. Lamb: so you think you are just the same as all the other people with burned faces? Just by what you look like? Ah, everything's different. Everything's the same, but everything is different. Okay? But everything is different itself. Derry: how do you make all that out? Mr. Lamb: watching, listening, thinking. Derry: I would like a place like this, a garden. I would like a house with no curtains. You can see Derry has started liking Mr. Lamb, and now he is getting some sort of similarities with him. Mr. Lamb: the gate's always open. Derry: but this isn't mine. Mr. Lamb: everything's yours if you want it. What's mine is anybody's. Derry: so I could come here again? Even if you were out, I could come here? Certainly, you might find others here, of course. Oh, Mr. Lamb: well, that needn't stop you. You needn't mind. Derry: it would stop them. They would mind me when they saw me here. They look at my face and run. Okay, dear students, now let me tell you what's happening here in this what kind of a conversation is going on here. Mr. Lamb commented that it did not mean that strangers were enemies if not friends. Okay, we do not know the strangers, but if they are not our friends, then how can we be so sure that they are our enemies? Okay, Derry said that they were nothing, just people. To that Mr. Lamb said that it could not be that people were nothing to each other. They are people, they are human beings. How can you say that they are nothing? Derry said that there were some people whom he hated. Mr. Lamb replied that hatred would harm him more than the acid that had only affected his face. Very, very, very important line of this chapter. Derry said that there were some people whom he hated. To this, Mr. Lamb replied that hatred would harm him more than the acid that had only affected his face. So, Mr. Lamb is trying to tell him that acid, it has once burned your face, it has hurt you, it has affected your face once, but hatred is the one thing which, if they are inside you, will keep on affecting you throughout your life. Derry commented that only his face. He said, you are saying only my face? Acid has burned only my face. Mr. Lamb said that a bomb explosion blew up his leg, but there were worse things that could happen. इसके अलावा और भी कुछ वर्स्ट हो सकता था, लेकिन नहीं हुआ. सिर्फ एक लेग तक ही सीमित हो गया उसका वो इफेक्ट. One could burn himself up from the inside by the negative feelings. See, he is saying that negative feelings can burn you from inside. Acid is only affecting you from outside, but this hatred, this anger, this negative feeling towards people can burn you from inside. Derry said that when he had returned from the hospital, a person had said that it was better if he had remained there with people like him. He added that people think all disabled people should remain together at one place. Mr. Lamb added this meant that people without legs should remain together and the world would become imbalanced that way. Derry said that at least no one would stare at the other because all of them were similar. Mr. Lamb asked Derry that did he mean that he was like all other people with burned faces just because they had similar appearance? He added that everything was different. Although all things are the same, yet they are different. Derry was confused. Mr. Lamb said that our habits of watching, listening, and thinking differently made us different from each other. Derry said that he liked Mr. Lamb's house and garden. He replied that Derry was always welcome there. Derry said that the place was not his. He said, it's not my place. Why should I come here? Why you are welcoming me? Mr. Lamb said that everything was his if he wanted it to be. He added that all his possessions, all the things which belongs to Mr. Lamb were for everyone. Derry asked if he could visit the place again, and Mr. Lamb replied that he could and he would find company too. So, dear students, here you can see that Derry is showing a kind of an interest to visit that place again, means to visit Mr. Lamb's garden again. Why he wanted to visit it again? Because somewhere he start liking Mr. Lamb and he's finding some sort of a connect between both of them. He added that Derry need not mind other people. He said that okay, you can come anytime to my garden and you will find here company too. You will find some different people over here. But see, remember, don't mind those people. No one would stop him from entering the premises. Derry said that they probably would not like to enter the place upon seeing him. He said, okay, my Mr. Lamb, I agree. I won't mind people sitting over here. But maybe they will mind. They would mind me entering the garden. They won't like me to enter this garden because of my face. Maybe they would look at his face, get scared and run away. Okay, so till here we have covered. Now let's move forward. Mr. Lamb, they might not. You would have to take the risk. So would they? Derry, no, you would. You might have me and lose all your other friends because nobody wants to stay near me if they can help it. Mr. Lamb: I have not moved. Derry: No. Mr. Lamb: When I go down the street, the kids shout, "Lammy Lamb," but they still come into the garden, into my house. It's a game. They are not afraid of me. Why should they be? Because I'm not afraid of them. That's why not. Derry: Did you get your leg blown off in the war? Mr. Lamb: Certainly. Derry: How will you climb on a ladder and get the crab apples down then? Mr. Lamb: Oh, there's a lot of things I have learned to do and plenty of time for it. Years. I take it steady. Derry: If you fell and broke your neck, you could lie on the grass and die if you were on your own. Mr. Lamb: I could. Derry: You said I could help you? Mr. Lamb: If you want to. Derry: But my mother will want to know where I am. It's 3 miles home across the fields. I'm 14, but they still want to know where I am. Mr. Lamb: People worry. Derry: No, people fuss. Mr. Lamb: Go back and tell them. Derry: It's 3 miles. Mr. Lamb: It's a fine evening. You have got legs. Derry: Once I got home, they would never let me come back. Mr. Lamb: Once you got home, you would never let yourself come back. Derry: You don't know. You don't know what I could do. Mr. Lamb: No, only you know that. Derry: If I choose. Mr. Lamb: If you choose. I don't know everything, boy. I can't tell you what to do. Okay, so the difficult word, fuss. There is a word, fuss, where he says, "Na, people worry." To that he replied, "No, people fuss." It's a people fuss. Fuss means show of anger or worry. Okay, so Mr. Lamb replied that they might or might not run away. Who? People. They were having a conversation before now that people will run away when they will see my face and all. So Mr. Lamb said that it depends on them. They might or they might not run away, but that he had to take a chance on that. He has to take a risk. Derry said that Mr. Lamb had to choose out of him and the other people as visitors because no one liked to remain near him. He said, I do not have any kind of a risk. In fact, you have to take a risk. If you will make me your friend with this ugly burned face, maybe your other friends would not like to visit your garden. Mr. Lamb would lose all his friends if he had Derry in his garden. Mr. Lamb said that he was there and did not run away on seeing Derry. He said, see, I was sitting very quiet when I saw you. I did not run. So why other people will run? Why do you think so? He added that when he went out on the street, kids teased him. Who said this? Mr. Lamb. He was telling Derry so that he could be a little bit positive. So he told his own story that when I used to go out on the street, kids, they teased me, although they visited his garden and his house. It was like a game. They were not scared of him because he was not scared of them. He said it is a kind of a game. If you are not scared of them, they will also not be scared of you. Derry asked that did his leg get injured in the war? And Mr. Lamb replied that yes, it did so. Derry asked that how would he climb up the ladder to pluck the apples then? He said, you have a tin leg. And you were telling me that you are going to pluck the apples, crab apples. How it can be possible? How will you climb up the ladder? He replied that there were a lot of things that he had learned to do. Derry added that if he climbed the tree alone, fell from it and broke his neck, he would lie on the grass dead. Mr. Lamb said that it could happen. Ho sakta hai aisa. Derry asked if he could help him pluck the apples. So he shows he is trying to give an offer, and he is trying to offer his services to him. So he said, what if I will pluck the apples for you? Mr. Lamb said that he could help him if he wanted to. He said, "You are most welcome if you want to help me." Derry said that his mother would be waiting for him. And all of a sudden, he reminded of his mother and he said that my mother would be waiting for me. His home was 5 miles away across the field. He was 14 years of age, but still he was supposed to tell her. He said that, "See, I'm 14. I'm grown up. Still, I'm supposed to tell my parents where I am." Mr. Lamb added that people had the habit of worrying. Derry added that actually they were in the habit of fussing, showing their anger, not worrying. Mr. Lamb asked Derry to go home and inform his mother of his whereabouts. His house was 3 miles away. As the weather was fine and he had legs, he could easily go home, tell them, and return, said Mr. Lamb. He said, "It's a very wonderful evening, beautiful evening, and you have 2 legs, all right, proper legs. So better you could go, tell your mom, and come back." Derry said that once he went home, he would not be allowed to return. Mr. Lamb added that once home, Derry himself would not feel like coming back. Once he will be at his home, he himself will not like coming back to Mr. Lamb. Derry said that Mr. Lamb did not know what all he could do. He said, "You do not know anything about me. What can I do? What all I can do?" Mr. Lamb said that only Derry knew. He said, "Of course, you are all right. You are saying absolutely correct. How would I know what you all can do? You only yourself, only you know that what you can do." Derry started to say that if he chose, but he was interrupted by Mr. Lamb. He said that Derry had to choose and he could not tell him what to do. He said, "You are grown up. You yourself start making decisions. I am not going to guide you what you are supposed to do." Okay? Now let's move ahead. Derry. "They tell me, Mr. Lamb." So Mr. Lamb was telling him, Mr. Lamb said that, "I will not tell you what you are supposed to do. It's totally your choice. If you want to go home, what all you will say at your home and then you will come back, that is totally up to you. I am not going to guide you." And Derry is replying, "They tell me." They tell me means my parents always intervene. My parents always say, tell me what to do, what not to do. They tell me. Do you have to agree? I don't know what I want. I want something no one else has got or ever will have. Something just mine. Like this garden. I don't know what it is. Mr. Lamb. You could find out. Derry. How? Mr. Lamb. Waiting, watching, listening, sitting here or going there. I will have to see to the bees. Derry. Those are the people who come here. Do they talk to you? Ask you things? Mr. Lamb. Some do, some don't. I ask them. I like to learn. He said that I do not wait for them to speak first. I start first. I ask them their whereabouts. I wanted to learn new things. Derry, I don't believe in them. I don't think anybody ever comes. You are here all by yourself and miserable, and no one would know if you were alive or dead, and nobody cares. See, Derry got an idea that Mr. Lamb is telling lie, that so many people used to visit his garden. Derry, he also got an idea that he's lying. Actually, he is all alone. Mr. Lamb, you think what you please. He said that you are free to think whatever in which you find happiness. You are free to think. I cannot control your thinking. Derry. All right then. Tell me some of their names. So he said, okay. अगर यहाँ पे लोग आते हैं तो मुझे उनके नाम बताओ. Mr. Lamb. What are names? What are names? Did I ask your name? Names are nothing to me. Mr. Lamb is telling this. Tom, Dick or Harry. And then he got up. I'm off down to the bees. He said that I have to go and I have to see my bees. Derry, I think you are daft, crazy. Mr. Lamb, that's a good excuse. Derry, what for? You don't talk sense. Mr. Lamb, good excuse not to come back. He said, okay, you are just making excuses not to come back to my garden. Anyways, it's okay. And you have got a burnt up face, and that's other people's excuse. Derry, you are like others. You like to say things like that. If you don't feel sorry for my face, you are frightened of it. And if you are not frightened, you think I am ugly as a devil. I am a devil, don't you? She shouts. Mr. Lamb doesn't reply. He has gone to his bees. Derry, quietly, no, you don't. I like it here. Then he pauses. He gets up and again he shouts, I'm going, but I will come back. You see, you wait, I can run. I haven't got a tin leg. I'll be back. Derry runs off. And then there is a silence. The sounds of the garden again. Mr. Lamb. To himself. There, my dears. That's you seen to. You know, we all know. I will come back. They never do, though. Not them. Never do come back. The garden noises fade. Now see. Before we proceed to the scene 2, let me give you an explanation. Derry said that his family forced him to do things their way. They intervene a lot in his work. Mr. Lamb said that it was Derry's wish to agree with them or not. They are doing their job of guiding him, and Derry's job, it is Derry's wish whether to follow that or not. Derry was confused about what he wanted. Something that was only his, and no one had it, like the garden. Mr. Lamb said that he could find out what he wanted. Derry asked how he could do that. कि कैसे करूँ मैं, कैसे पहचानूँ मुझे क्या चाहिए? Mr. Lamb told him to wait, watch and listen. He added that he had to see the bees. Derry asked that did the other visitors talk to Mr. Lamb? Mr. Lamb replied that some did while some did not. Derry said that he did not believe that someone ever visited the place. Mr. Lamb lived alone all by himself. No one cared for him. Mr. Lamb said that Derry could think as he pleased. Derry asked him the names of some of the visitors. Mr. Lamb said that names were nothing. They could be like Tom, Dick or Harry. He left to see the bees. Derry said that perhaps Mr. Lamb was mentally challenged. He said, you are daft. You are crazy. Mr. Lamb said that that was a good excuse for Derry, but Derry said that Mr. Lamb did not talk sense, and that's why he said so. Mr. Lamb repeated that it was a good excuse for not returning to the garden. Derry's face was burned, which was others people's excuse for not seeing Derry. Derry said that Mr. Lamb was like other people. If he was not sorry that his face was burned, then maybe he was scared of it. He said, okay, if you are not feeling sorry for my face, I can understand, it's okay. But maybe you are somewhere a little bit scared of it. And if not that, then maybe he thought that Derry was as ugly as a devil. He added that he was a devil. That yes, Derry, I am a devil. Derry is saying that yes, I am a devil. Derry shouted. Mr. Lamb did not reply. He had gone to see the bees. Derry became calm and said that Mr. Lamb did not think him to be a devil. He liked to be in the garden. Derry got up and shouted that he was leaving and that he would return to see him. He said, yes, I am leaving for my home, but definitely I will return, don't worry. I'll come back to to see you. He also said that he did not have a tin leg. He could run and would be back soon. Derry ran off. The place was silent with the sounds of the creatures of the garden. Mr. Lamb talked to the bees that they saw all that happened. These are the lines, very emotional. Mr. Lamb talking to the bees and saying that bees, nothing has been hidden from you. Whatever conversation I had in my garden with anybody, you know each and everything. And then he said one line. He said, they all knew that no one ever returned to the garden. Means nobody has ever come back to visit him again. Whatever he was telling to Derry, that was all lie. People used to come, only the people came once only, but nobody had come back. Nobody had a conversation with Lamb about his whereabouts. How was he feeling? Nobody. He was all alone. Now scene 2. Scene 2 is at Derry's house. Okay, so the mother has come into the scene now, and the conversation is going on between mother and Derry. You think I don't know about him? You think I haven't heard things? Now, who is this him here? This him is Mr. Lamb. And mother is saying that you think I don't know about him, about Mr. Lamb? Derry, you shouldn't believe all you hear. Now he is talking positive. Derry is telling his mom that whatever we hear, everything is not true. Every time everything is not true, and you should not believe all you hear. Mother, been told, warned, we have not lived here 3 months, but I know what there is to know, and you are not to go back there. Derry, what are you afraid of? What do you think he is? An old man with a tin leg, and he lives in a huge house without curtains and has a garden, and I want to be there and sit and listen to things. Listen and look. Mother, listen to what? Derry, bees singing, him talking. See, he got a positive attitude. Mother, and what's he got to say to you? क्या बोलते हैं वो तुमसे? Derry, things that matter. Things nobody else has ever said to me. Things I want to think about. He said he used to talk to me so many nice things which nobody has ever spoken to me. Mother, then you stay here and do your thinking. You are best off here. So as I told you that the second scene is at Derry's house, and Derry is having a conversation with his mother. His mother asked what did Derry think of her. She had already heard about Mr. Lamb. Derry told her not to believe what others said, but she warned him that she knew what was required to be known about any person, and therefore asked him not to go back. Derry asked her the reason of her fear. He told her that Mr. Lamb was just an old man with a tin leg and had a big house without curtains and a garden. He said that he wanted to go back and listen to things. His mother was curious to know what was it that he wanted to listen. He replied that he wanted to hear bees singing and wanted to listen to what Mr. Lamb said. But she didn't find it suitable. And so she told him to stay at home and think about what he wanted to. Now see. Derry, I hate it here. Mother, you can't help the things you say. I forgive you. It's bound to make you feel bad things and say them. I don't blame you. Derry, it's got nothing to do with my face and what I look like. I don't care about that, and it isn't important. See, he has become positive here. when he's speaking all these lines to his mom. That shows that he got a positive attitude attribute from Mr. Lamb. Now he is bold enough to speak like this way. It's what I think and feel and what I want to see and find out at here. I'm going back there, only to help him with the crab apples, only to look at the things and listen. But I'm going. Mother, you will stop here, Derry. Oh no. Because if I don't go back there, I'll never go anywhere in this world again. The door slams. Derry runs panting. Panting means breathing very fast. And I want the world. I want it. The sound of his panting fades. So dear students, Derry said that he hated to remain at home. His mother excused him for speaking wrong. She said, it's not your fault. Your upbringing is just like that. I know you always talk negative nonsense. That's why you are speaking this way. Because he felt bad and so spoke that way. Derry said that it had nothing to do with his face. The important thing was how he thought and what he saw or heard. He announced that he would go back into the garden to help Mr. Lamb with the crab apples. His mother tried to stop him, but he ran away, shutting the door behind him. So panting, my dear friends, when you run, your breathing rate increase, है ना, half ना जैसे बोलते हैं, that is known as panting. Now scene 3. Scene 3, Mr. Lamb's garden. Garden sound, the noise of a branch shifting, apples thumping down, the branch shifting again. Shifting here means वैसे हाथ से एक branch को हटा के देख रहे थे. That is why. Mr. Lamb, steady, that's got it. That's it. More apples fall, and again, that's it. And a creak, a crash. The letter falls back. Mr. Lamb with it. A thump. The branch swishes back, creaks, then silence. Derry opens the garden gate, still panting because he came running. That's why he is still panting. Derry, you see, I came back. You said I wouldn't, and they said, but I came back. I wanted. He stops dead. Silence. Mr. Lamb, you have... He runs through the grass, stops, kneels. Mr. Lamb, it's all right. You fell. I'm here, Mr. Lamb. It's all right. Silence. I came back, Lammy Lamb. I did. Come back. Derry begins to weep. He begins to weep. And the play ends. How sad it is, isn't it? Okay, so let me quickly tell you, dear students, the word meaning first. Steady means stable. Creak means a harsh sound of wood. Swish, a hissing sound. Panting, I have already told you, quick breaths. The third scene is in Mr. Lamb's garden. There was the sound of branches. Mr. Lamb was talking to himself while he was plucking the apples. You can see ना, he said, that's got it. जैसे वो से तोड़ता है apple को, he said, got it. That's it. So he is plucking the apples and he is talking to himself. Suddenly a harsh sound of the cracking wood was heard and the ladder fell on the ground. Mr. Lamb fell too. Derry opened the gate. He was still breathing rapidly and declared to Mr. Lamb that he had returned. He was so happy. So jolly he was that, yes, I have returned, Mr. Lamb. See, he looked at him and found him lying on the ground. He went near him like anything and tried to talk to him, but no one replied. Derry kept on calling him by his name, Mr. Lamb, Lammy Lamb, get up, get up. And suddenly started crying. He did so because he realized that Mr. Lamb was dead. Mr. Lamb is no more. So see, for the first time, somebody has returned to meet Mr. Lamb in his garden. But this time, Mr. Lamb was not alive to welcome him. Mr. Lamb was all alone throughout his life, but still he instilled a ray of positivity in Derry. He has touched Derry somewhere in his heart. And today, when he got a company in the form of Derry, he was dead. I am getting quite emotional here, dear students. So, this is all about our play. In tomorrow's video, I am going to discuss some of the important question answers of this chapter. I'll see you in my next video. Really want you to read this play with full of emotions and sentiments, and look at the positive attitude towards the life. Thank you. Have a great day.